From the field to the court to the dugout, what does faith look like in the big leagues? Sweat, blood, and tears, that's the practice many athletes pay to make it big. But when they make it, that spotlight shines so bright. Fame comes in varying degrees, but for many in the business, they are godlike to their fans. Sheldon Neal is going to tell us more about an athlete's influence in the 21st century.
Signing bonuses, endorsement deals, millions of Twitter followers, and yes, a selfie stalker around every corner. That's the coveted life of most sport superstars. A 2013 study by the Barna Group showed that athletes, at least in the US, have more influence than faith leaders. Wow, about 2/3 of Americans draw more inspiration from these high-profile players than their pastors. So do you think there's a divine hand on guiding games? Well, 1/4 of Americans say yes. They believe God has a direct role in who wins and, yes, who goes home the loser. But of course, there's always two sides of a coin. In recent years, we've seen major pushback to faith in sports. UFC President Dana White publicly criticized one of his MMA fighters for thanking Jesus after a round in the ring. And Houston Texan Arian Foster has joined the openly secular campaign to increase awareness of non-believers in sports.
What an environment to be in, Sheldon. Well, we went looking for professional athletes that rely on something greater than their own strength. For our first story, our correspondent Molly Thomas hit home turf to the province that bleeds green.
So Jeff, you walked onto this field as a rookie this year.
Yes, ma'am.
What went through your mind when you first looked at this field?
First thing went through my mind is it's big.
Down he goes. Jeff Knox Jr. adds to his tackle total.
A big field for a big-time player. In his first season with the green and white, Jeff Knox Jr. is turning heads. He's already broken the Rough Riders tackle record. He's also had 3 CFL nods for the biggest awards of the year. But this beast on the field is quite humble in real life.
7th tackle of the night for Jeff Knox Jr.
A little bit of a dream?
Oh, more than a dream.
More than a dream.
More than a dream to me.
This field of dreams is about more than just football. It's about a 180 turnaround, fueled by faith. Knox, a Pittsburgh native, grew up in the projects. As the oldest son of 6, life was never easy.
My father, he went to jail for a long period of time. So we didn't really have a relationship, didn't really know him. But my mother, through that time, she was battling alcohol addiction.
Without parents in the picture, the siblings were shipped out, split up between foster homes across the U.S. Knox moved families 4 times.
Where I'm from, you see so much bad, it's hard to believe there's a God. Because people say God is so great, so loving, and just so passionate, how much love he has for us. And as a young kid, I questioned that.
He funneled his frustration into football, the one constant in his life that he loved. That landed him a full scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh, until an assault charge surfaced. Knox was kicked off the team. A coach at Cal U, Pennsylvania, heard his story and offered him a second chance. But there were strict rules in playing for the Vulcans. Knox had to take women's study classes and help organize domestic violence fundraisers.
The change for me was get tired of seeing the same things, man, and getting the same results. And I just wanted to change that image, man, because I'm not a bad person. And I figured, man, why don't I try something new? It's dare to be different, man.
That motto was tested in 2014. Knox lost his father to cancer 1 week after they reconnected. 6 days later, his cousin was gunned down. While others sought revenge, Knox focused on football. While training in Atlanta, he was invited to a Bible study. When he opened the Word, everything shifted.
Give freely and become more wealthy, be stingy, and lose everything. That's Proverbs 24.
So who is God to you?
Almighty. The best thing that ever happened to me, learning about God and knowing that there is a God, that even from me coming from this this terrible neighborhood, this bad background, that there's always room to change, man. You can always change. I had to put on that same persona as a kid, that I'm tough, man, I'm strong, I don't cry, I can't do this, but now it's like I'm finding out my faith and learning about that. It's okay, man, to show your sensitive side, man, as a man. Yeah, I care about a lot of people. I care about my family, I care about the kids in my neighborhood. And so I really want to give back to them, to show them that there's a different way you could do things.
That spiritual revelation came just a few months before Knox was called up to the pros. In 2015, he signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, where a support system of faith was already in place.
Jeff and his family members, I pray a blessing over them, Father. I pray, you know, that we wouldn't worry. And what I've grown to see with Jeff is a young man who is very humble, which I really appreciate. He's a very talented and gifted athlete. Clearly, I mean, we see what he's, you know, what's become, and yeah, he has just done that, right? Yeah, and so that's great. But more than anything, he loves his family. He's committed. He's a true friend. I've seen how he interacts with other players on the team. And there is you know, I think from some of the struggles he's gone through in his life, and I think we all go through struggles, but with him personally, he's come to a place where he's recognized that, you know, God is more than just a force, but you know, we can have a relationship with God, and so he's hungry to learn and just making it part of his own life.
Let's talk a little bit about your social media accounts. You know, I see you on Twitter and on Facebook. The images that you show, I mean, it's telling the world really about your faith. Maybe talk to me about why you wanted to put that out there and showcase that as who you are.
Like I said, it's been a long road for me. Like, who would have thought a kid like me would be here playing professional football? You know, it's a great feeling, man. So I want people to know that I trust in the Lord, and this is where He got me.
Knox's walk was strengthened by other faith warriors on the field. CFL veteran John Chick calls it his battlefield.
And reminded by, I guess, the stories in Scripture, especially the Old Testament, when you see all the battles that they were in, and the struggling, the fighting that was going on, and God was with them. God was their strength, and if they gave it to God, God gave them the glory, right?
And they get home. John Chick leads the charge, and that's sack number 50.
That's been true in Chick's career. He's a two-time CFL All-Star, named the league's most outstanding player in 2009, and has the two pieces of hardware every CFL player is after.
Can I hold one?
The coolest thing ever. He's also had stints with the Texans, the Colts, and the Jaguars in the NFL.
So is God on this field for you then? You know, when you're here in that beast mode?
Oh yeah. You know, he's everywhere, and I think the cool thing about it is He's within everybody. It's those that acknowledge Him, I think, that reap the greater rewards.
Even in the losses, John, because this hasn't been the easiest season.
Right, yeah.
But you know, at the end of the game, even if there's a big loss on the table, you're feeling the same way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, we'd like to think that Guy was a Rider fan.
We hope.
Yeah. But I don't think he quite works that way. It's, you know, like you said, wins or losses, He's there, and He's wanting to see, are you the same when it's good and when it's bad?
But Chick's proudest accomplishments cannot be found on the football field. He's got a more important team back home. At the Chick residence, children under 10 clearly outnumber the adults. As John travels for football, his wife Catherine holds down the fort, homeschooling all of their children.
I try and do more religious arts, crafts with them to get religion to be more fun and exciting. So here they did their version of creation on paper plates.
You pray as a family, I know, before meals. Do you think the kids understand it, or you know, are the one eye open, or?
Well, they're definitely distracted. I have to give a little stink eye at least 5 times during a prayer. But I think if you do it enough and it becomes part of our everyday life, then eventually you're planting a seed, and you might not see it grow for a long time.
For John and Catherine, being parents of faith is their #1 priority.
It also means, you know, holding them accountable, holding them responsible, but at the same rate, I mess up. And knowing that no matter how bad I fell, no matter how bad I messed up, God loves me and He forgives me, right? And I want my kids to know the same thing, is there is nothing you can do under the sun that I'm not gonna love you.
Making a marriage work on the road also has its challenges. A 2009 New York Times article cited a 60 to 80% divorce rate amongst players in the NFL. Chick admits that a seed of faith planted in him early helps keep him faithful.
I had parents that just love each other, that raised us kids in the faith, and that's what I knew. Does that mean I'm never tempted? No, I have the best wife that you could ever ask for. Much like God, without her and her support of taking care of me, not only our 7 kids, but me as a person, as a sinner, as a diabetic, I wouldn't have been half the man I am without her.
Beautiful words. And we wanted to say congratulations to the Chick family. Since our interview, they welcomed a brand new baby girl, and that takes the family to 8 kids and counting. And John was signed as a free agent by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We wish you all the best against Jeff Knox Jr. and Rider Nation this season.
After the break, beyond basketball, is God on the floor at the Air Canada Centre? Stay with us.
Coming soon to Context, Easter through the eyes of a skeptic. Shakespearean-trained actor Joseph Fiennes talks about his new movie, Risen, as Context looks at the real meaning of Easter.
Enter to win a free book at Lorna's Books. Our choice, Tony Dungy, the Super Bowl winning coach, has got a great book called The Uncommon Life Challenge, a daily reading which gives you tips on living well, living like a champion. What a great book for our sporting show. And we have got free copies to give out to lucky contestants when you enter to win at contextwithlorna.com. Simply click on Lorna's Books.
This segment is brought to you by Bruce Etherington and Associates, Family Harmony and Philanthropy, helping you help others.
If you were playing Jesus one-on-one on the basketball court, would you let him dunk on you, or would you play him? Would you be up in his shorts?
Listen here, if I played against Jesus Christ, he could dunk on me, he could bless me. I would let, because there's so many rooms and mansions in heaven, and he's in charge up there. So I definitely let him do whatever he needs to do down here, if by any means necessary, absolutely. Jesus, you can dunk on me anytime.
Just a little taste of NBA All-Star Weekend for you. And we have more stories of faith from that weekend online in our web exclusives section. So go to our website, Context with Lorna, and check that out. Well, staying with basketball, we sent Molly to the loudest basketball court in the country. Molly.
We are in the Air Canada Centre, where the pride of the North, the Toronto Raptors, are warming up right behind me. In this space, it's all about one sport, basketball, of course, but what about life beyond basketball? We talked to a few key members of the Raptors organization to find out more. Before the seats fill and the players lace up, that voice you just heard needs a warm-up. Raptors fans may not even know it.
Toronto Raptors!
But as they find their seats, right underneath them, Raptors announcer Herbie Kuhn is in the zone. Herbie, you have one of the most recognizable voices in this city. Of course, the voice of the Raptors here at the ACC.
Yes, ma'am. By God's grace, it is an absolute privilege and a blessing to be here. I'm not owed this position. It is a gift.
All right, let's get ready to raise the curtain here in Toronto, the home opener, and let's join PA announcer Herbie Kuhn. Canada! The moment we've all been waiting for!
A gift that arrived 21 years back when the NBA first expanded to Canada. Kuhn has been with the franchise through the Skydome days, when Vince Carter first learned to fly, and every playoff attempt fans can remember. Like players, he has his own pregame rituals.
Handwriting the rosters here.
Handwrite everything.
Handwriting everything. I've been doing it for
From intros to rosters to fouls, it's all done old school.
Checking pronunciations of the visiting team members in case there are some unusual names. Checking in with
And of course, this.
Start very, very quietly. You got it. It's called trilling.
But Kuhn's most important pregame job is nowhere near the mic.
You're rolling the R.
It's in a back locker room with his Bible, where he sees a different side of superstars.
Many people are of the mistaken notion that these guys are devoid of any problems or issues in their lives. And they go through struggles, they go through challenges, family issues, injuries. And when they make a mistake in their job, guess what? 20,000 people are ready to boo them at an instant's notice, right?
That pressure can be overwhelming. So Kuhn doubles as a co-chaplain to spiritually go one-on-one with the players. And he's not only with the Raptors in this role, but with the Toronto Argonauts and Athletics Canada too. As someone that did not enter pro sports as a Christian, he has a unique story to share.
1 year to the day after our first Raptors home opener, I come to faith in Jesus Christ. And now he has used this platform to affect literally, and I'm almost overwhelmed thinking about this, thousands and thousands of people. And I think that if he can use someone like me to forward the kingdom of God, to forward the gospel of Jesus Christ in the venue of pro sports, then my goodness, he can use anybody wherever he sees fit.
Jama Mahlalela couldn't agree more. 9 years after he threw in the towel on his own game, God called him up to the NBA as an assistant coach.
You've had a chance to be a part of player development. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting role. It basically combines what the players do off the floor with on the floor, and making sure that their entire lives are sort of sorted out. And they come with their own baggage, they come with their own goals, ideas, thoughts, and how do we merge everything to get the team together, but make sure that the individual athlete is sort of cared after and looked after.
So with that holistic approach, I mean, does faith factor into that conversation?
Yeah, I think it does when it's appropriate. And I think it's one of those ones where I think it most effectively happens when it comes from the player.
But Coach Mahlalela relates to avoiding these tough questions as a young superstar himself. At the peak of his game, he was the captain of the UBC Thunderbirds. In 2003, he led his team to a CIS national championship. The lights had to fade, though, for him to pay attention to God.
So what changed? I mean, what all of a sudden, you know, if the world looked at you, they'd be like, that guy's a success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's such a good point. I think it was always feeling that there was a hole there. I reached a point in my life where I couldn't handle it anymore, and I realized that I can't do this on my own strength, and that I need something else, something other, and get rid of the selfishness that really had creeped into my life. And it's ironic because people would look and say, oh, he's so humble and all these sort of things, but deep down there was a selfishness that was there that I think God helped to break down.
How do you break that down, though, for the guys that step on this court? They feel like they're man-made, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one that did those sprint intervals. I'm the one that trained in the weight room, right? Like, how do you break that feeling of I am self-made?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is more realistic. Is I don't do it. God's going to do it, which is I'm thankful for. Yeah. But He does it in His own ways, in His own unique ways, and I think uses us in certain capacities. So myself, it's just being me as much as I can be me, and that is a flawed person who tries to do the best that he can do in front of them, and I hope that they see that. And I think ultimately the player is going to come to their own realization and find their own place where they say, hey, you know what, I'm lonely here, I'm missing something here, or there's a bigger picture that I haven't quite attached myself to yet, and God's going to do His magical and miracles, which He does in so many of us.
Life's greatest lesson these men take to their jobs on the court every day. But what happens when the game is over? Life after the major leagues is next.
Coming soon to Context, Easter through the eyes of a skeptic. Shakespearean-trained actor Joseph Fiennes talks about his new movie, Risen, as Context looks at the real meaning of Easter.
There is currently no cure for Anna's condition.
Free her from this. Can you even hear me? You're telling me when this baby girl fell 30 feet, she hit her head just right and it didn't paralyze her. It healed her?
Yes.
That's impossible.
promise from heaven.
He told me I'd be fine. Who told you you'd be fine?
Based on the true story.
This segment is brought to you by Cranberry Golf Resort and Living Water Resort and Spa in Collingwood, Ontario, where families experience fun, weddings, and business meetings are successful.
And every game that I refereed, including my NBA games, that during the national anthem, I would take the crucifix out of my coat pocket, the NBA jacket, put it in my hand, and just say a prayer to God and thank Him for getting me there for that particular game. So it has been an inspiration through my entire career, and then it just kind of perpetuates itself. I mean, we go to Him so often. We ask for blessing, we ask for forgiveness, and it made me a better person. If you're asking, or I'm asking for forgiveness, you have to forgive the people that come to you. You forgive other people. So it works two ways. So it's been a blessing for me.
Well, that's great catching up with Dick Bavetta, a legend in the NBA, a devout Catholic. You know, in a 39-year career, he reffed 2,635 games straight and never called in sick. Well, our next guest is another veteran of his sport. Chris Reitsma played 7 seasons of Major League Baseball. He was the first Canadian to be selected in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft, chosen 34 overall, chosen by the Boston Red Sox. And he went on to play for the Braves, the Reds, and the Mariners. And he also represented Canada in the 2008 Olympics and was inducted into the Alberta Hall of Fame. Chris, you retired from the major leagues in 2007. What went through your mind after you threw your last pitch?
Well, when I threw that last pitch, I didn't know it was going to be my last pitch. You know, it's not something you know it's going to be the last time. When you're a professional athlete, your identity is locked into, you know, being an athlete, and that's how people know you, and that's how people identify with you. And so, you know, when that's done, when that's over, you know, you have to find a different way to view life and to be seen as a person and as an individual. And you know, thankfully, life does go on, and this game goes on without me, and it's a big game, and it's pretty quick that you realize that, and so it's great to have family and friends around to help you through that transition. But yeah, it is a very difficult thing to go through.
Well, you finished your career earlier than planned. Were you angry with God over your injury? I mean, you've had 5 arm surgeries.
There's so much stuff going on in the world that's bigger than a sport and bigger than an injury. And you know, from day one, I always knew that God had a plan in my life through sport and through community and family. And I never felt like I blamed God. Sure, there was some frustration of, you know, hey, I could have really been that much better if I didn't get hurt, all that. But you know, I never sat back and blamed God for an injury.
You know, many professional athletes, yourself included, make millions. How did you reconcile that kind of wealth and being a Christian?
Well, I mean, you look at it as a blessing, you know, and I've always been very thankful for the opportunity I've been given financially. But my wife and I, we always view it as a way to give back and a way to you know, to bless other people, and a way to be humble and to serve. And there's so much need in the world that we just feel like we're blessed to be able to help out. So that was never a big issue, and I'm thankful for my wife, who was always someone that you know, money didn't mean anything to her really. You know, we're pretty down-to-earth people, and so that's never been an issue, and something that I consider a blessing to be able to help out with.
Is it harder to be an MLB pitcher or a father of teenagers?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. You know, I mean, as hard as it is to pitch in the major leagues, there's only 360 pitchers in the world that get a pitch in the major leagues per year, and I was fortunate to do that for 7 years and had a good run at that. And as hard as it is to do that, you know, it's still a game. And if you blow it on the field and things don't go well, it's a game. So being a father, obviously, is a little more tricky, and a godly father at that, and trying to just raise girls who know the Lord and love the Lord, and you know, it has a lasting effect on their lives.
And do your girls like baseball?
You know what? I always joke that They like it. They like watching, you know, here and there, but to watch a whole game is very difficult for them. They think it's a little slow and boring, and I don't blame them. They don't know the intricacies of it, and I don't push too hard at that. We have an acreage west of the city. I built a wiffle ball field, hoping that they'd love to play and go out there and play some catch with that and stuff. And they're still young, and hopefully they'll come around. But they definitely don't love it. They're more basketball players right now.
So, are you disappointed?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Whatever they want to do in life is fine with me. And you know, as long as someday they can sit back and maybe ask to watch a highlight tape of their dad, that'd be pretty cool. But other than that, if they're not interested, that's fine.
Chris, what's your advice to men in the majors right now?
Just that it goes quick, and that the game will, you know, go on without you. And you know, you basically have the same talk no matter what you're doing with kids. If they're playing baseball or basketball or hockey, or if they're going to go to university and be I don't know, a dentist, whatever it might be, just try to do the best you can every day, work hard, and see what happens. But just to know that the game does, it's a very difficult game. It does move on without you, and just to enjoy it. That's one thing I wish I would have done a little bit more. Is, you know, when you're in the pressure cooker and the stress day to day when you're playing, you don't enjoy it as much as you should. And just to take that perspective when you're a million miles away from it now, to sit back and say, you know, to these kids, enjoy it day by day, have fun with the game, and get the most of your ability, and try not to take yourself too seriously.
Chris Rietzma in Calgary, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, our special thanks to all the athletes and sports personnel that shared their stories with us today. And we felt there was no better way to end this show than with the athlete's prayer. We'll see you next week.
Lord, please clear my head of all distractions and my heart of burdens I may bear, so I may perform my very best, knowing you are always there. Please lift me up before the moment, so through your eyes I may see and have a clear understanding as the game unfolds before me. With great courage, I will meet this challenge as you would have me to, but keep me humble and remind me that my strength comes from knowing you. Then when all eyes are upon me at the end of this game, I will turn their eyes to you, O Lord, and to the glory of your name. Amen. For you online at Context. Now, these are the stories you won't see on TV, but it's a daily delivery for your phone, iPad, or computer. Here's a few of them. Well, it looks like there's trouble in paradise. What is the #1 sign of a doomed relationship? Well, Professor John Stackhouse writes for the blog. What role does faith play in the paint? Well, Context's Molly Thomas caught up with some basketball legends at the All-Star Weekend in Toronto, the 6th, the heart, and to hear the stories about faith in Jesus. Let's take a look.
Jerome, we're talking about faith here. People are talking about, you know, what that means in their life. Is that something that is close to your heart?
Oh, it's everything in my life. You know, without faith, I wouldn't be here.
The pain of mental illness hits close to home with many of us. At Context, one staff member shares her personal story of struggle and her hope for recovery. Well, my friends, you can find all of that and so much more online at contextwithlorna.com.